The regal setting of Saltburn could be more than pomp and circumstance, with the fate of Emerald Fennel's characters taking root in the history of English royalty. Saltburn leaves many aspects of its narrative elements up for interpretation. However, the history of Saltburn House could be the strongest clue to what happens to Oliver Quick and other members of the Saltburn cast after the movie ends. 2023 Saltburn has a suspenseful story structure that intentionally leaves a string of unanswered questions in its wake. While it's a movie that thrives on its audience's thirst for knowledge, it also contains clues in many forms relating to what happens next after Saltburn's ending. As such, Fennel's script nudges its audience in the direction of historical English monarchs to find the answers they need. Farleigh's exile mirrors King Henry VII, and could mean he eventually reclaims Saltburn. Farleigh's ties to the Catton family are more important than they initially seem. Oliver orchestrates Farleigh's exile from Saltburn House as part of his plan to claim the estate for himself. Farleigh's banishment from the Catton's family property reflects King Henry VII's exile from England before his ascendancy as king. Despite Henry VII's extended period away from the country, he did eventually return and take the throne. If Farleigh's journey is indeed based on Henry VII's, then it's possible he could come back and reclaim Saltburn from Oliver. Although Farleigh is part of Saltburn's Catton family tree by blood, he's the most distantly related when compared with the other members in the movie. As Felix's American cousin, Farleigh does have a legitimate right to Saltburn, albeit a fragile one when compared to his relatives. This scenario is very similar to Henry VII in real life, whose claims to the English throne were equally faint. Oliver having parallels to King Richard III hint he'll lose Saltburn. Richard III died in battle. A shirtless Oliver, Barry Keoghan, looking at the Catton family's deathstones at the end of Saltburn. The ending of Saltburn shows Oliver enjoying his success regarding the inheritance of the Catton family estate. While his victory would seem to be complete, there is still the risk that Farleigh could return and take what's rightfully his. If so, this would mean Oliver's journey following one very similar to King Richard III, who was killed by Henry VII at the Battle of Bosworth. Saltburn makes a direct reference to Richard III in the movie. When Felix asks Farleigh who he would F*ck, Chuck, or marry, Farleigh states he would F*ck Richard III, seemingly aiming the comment at Oliver. While all of these hints could arguably be ignored in isolation, the presence of all of them at the same time against the backdrop of a formerly royal setting makes the foreshadowing in Saltburn impossible to ignore.